Senator Krueger joins us from New York City tonight. Senator, thanks so much for joining us today.
Happy to.
Just wanted to start quickly with the budget. Obviously, there still isn't a budget, and the Senate remains in recess. Kind of bring us up to speed about what you've been hearing about the budget process.
Okay, again, technically the budget isn't complete, but 95% of it is done, just so people don't get completely confused. Government isn't going to be halted. There are no more emergency extenders. We are still fighting about the last few sections of the budget, most relevantly some of the revenue proposals that the Assembly passed one bill. The governor, as of last week, handed us a completely different bill. The Senate is taking the position we would like three-way negotiations and then go back to Albany when we all know that we've agreed on one bill that can be passed and signed by the governor.
Are you hearing any sort of agreement, though? Anything that might lead you to believe there is a three-way agreement in the works, or you are getting closer to that?
I think we are getting closer. There does seem to be agreement on a number of the pieces, but there are still some big issues that we have not resolved. I can't tell you there's a resolution on CUNY-SUNY empowerment. The Senate continues to take the position, along with the governor, that we need a contingency plan if the federal money known as FMAP does not arrive, as it appears not to be arriving. We don't want to leave ourselves with a budget that has an official billion-dollar hole in it. There are some other pieces that different people disagree with, although I think we could resolve those differences and get things done really within a week or so. My understanding is that the governor is away on vacation this week, so I don't think there's going to be discussions at least early this week.
Let me bring you back to SUNY empowerment, which is a very big deal specifically for some of your colleagues in Buffalo and on Long Island. Senators Foley, Thomas, and also Senator Stokowski are all saying that they're not going to come to a budget agreement until the SUNY plan is dealt with. Have you heard anything more about that? Is there any movement on that?
No, right now we do not have a resolution on that issue. As I said, that's one of the big ones outstanding. The Senate put in a one-house bill about a week ago. The Assembly, I don't believe, has put it in, which would allow a pilot to go forward with 4 of the SUNY campuses, including Stony Brook and Long Island, a concern for Senator Foley, SUNY Buffalo, a concern for Senator Stokowski, and 2 other sites. I personally think that is a reasonable negotiated alternative, a pilot with some of the campuses. Let's try what SUNY's asking for, let's evaluate it, and we can move forward from there.
Now, the Senate had put forth one House bills apart from the budget that dealt with SUNY empowerment and also with FMAP. But it seems like you really haven't heard that much from your colleagues in the Assembly about whether or not they'll even come back to the Capitol to act on those bills.
Again, I never speak for the Assembly. You need to speak to them. But yes, it's true that the revenue bill that they passed did not deal with any kind of FMAP contingency and did not accept the governor's proposal for SUNY CUNY empowerment, nor did it support a pilot model.
And moving forward with the budget, the revenue bill still hasn't passed, and that really goes hand in hand with a report that came out from the comptroller's office today saying that New York State is broke. We've heard this rhetoric before, but this time he says we're really in the red, we're really out of money. Do his numbers jive with what you've seen, or are you not in agreement with that?
I haven't had a chance to review the comptroller's new report. We've known that the state has a real balancing problem with our budget. Depending on what month of the year it is, revenues may in fact be out of balance, or in fact our cash flow may be a problem. So since I haven't seen the comptroller's report yet, I won't comment on it.
But moving forward, you really have proposed some drastic changes to the budgetary process, namely a 2-year process. Do you think that could have any legs going forward?
I hope so. We knew that would take a longer period to get rolling because that requires a constitutional amendment, but I do believe that if we had a 2-year biannual budget, it would allow us to have a longer term planning process. It would mean that the legislature would probably spend 6 months out of every 2-year period dealing with the budget rather than 6 months out of every year. I think we would be provided with a better planning process, a better use of the legislature's time, leave us more time to focus on legislation and oversight of government, our other important functions as legislators, and in fact, I think would provide a longer timeline in between when budgets got negotiated in order to get things done. Now, of course, if something changed, the economy plummeted, the federal government changed something that they were doing within that 2-year period, we would always have the ability to go back and make adjustments.
And, you know, speaking of the budget and not having it done yet, it certainly doesn't look good in terms of re-election campaigns moving forward into November. What do you think it says when people say, well, the budget's not done, the Senate hasn't been back yet? How do you defend that to your constituents and when you're seeking re-election?
It's very difficult for any of us to explain to our constituents why we haven't completed our work. The fact is we are 3 months late. The fact is in bad economic times, it is more difficult to resolve budgetary problems than in good years. We're seeing that in states throughout the country, but I don't try to make excuses. We should get the budget done. I am very frustrated that we haven't been able to. I do believe that the issues that are left unresolved can be resolved if we have three-way discussions among the Speaker of the Assembly, John Sampson, the head of the Senate, and Governor David Paterson. I am hoping they will complete negotiations as quickly as possible, but you're absolutely right. Any single legislator running for re-election knows they have a very difficult job ahead of them explaining to their constituents what they have done, what they have not been able to do, and why they should be re-elected.
And the Democrats as a whole are going to have a tough job defending the Senate, at least, razor-thin majority. How do you think those re-election campaigns are going, and do you feel confident you're going to maintain that majority come November?
Well, actually, I feel confident we're going to increase our majority in November. There are a variety of factors coming into play here. One, I believe it's going to be the year of the woman. We have 10 very strong women candidates running for the state Senate, more than we've seen ever. There are only 10 women in the state Senate with 62 members. So I feel that strong women coming forward and saying, we know we can do better than these guys are going to have been doing, is going to change